Good morning to the West Virginia Racing Commission. This is Tom David, retired veterinarian, equine practice veterinarian. As a bit of background, I practiced on the backside for over 30 years at various tracks with a population of horses that range from the cheapest of claimers to some of the best stake horses. After retiring from practice, I was asked by the owners of the Fairgrounds Racetrack in New Orleans to assume the position of Association Veterinarian, and later requested by the Louisiana Racing Commission to fulfill a newly created position as Equine Medical Director, which I maintained for 5 years and recently resigned to pursue retirement once again. I would like to commend the West Virginia Racing Commission for addressing the issue of race day administration of furosemide, which is commonly referred to as Lasix. As we are all aware, this is the most controversial medication issue in today's racing. Having had both practice and regulatory experience, I have had the opportunity to view racing medication from both sides of the fence. My racetrack practice experience began in 1967, which was prior to the use of any permitted medication. Once the horse was entered and on the overnight, veterinary intervention was to cease. Post-race bleeding from the nostril was uncommon, and catastrophic injuries were extremely rare. In the 70s, both phenylbutazone and furosemide became permitted medications to older horses, and that was soon changed to allow their use in 2-year-olds. I must admit I did not foresee the problems that we were creating with permitted medication. Some prefer to argue that this is only therapeutic medications. There is nothing therapeutic about the way we are using permitted medication in today's racing. The public views medication as drugs, and their position is that animals used for sporting events should not be drugged. Drugs and catastrophic injuries have led to the public perception that racing is a cruel sport that has little concern for the health and safety of the horse. Perception is reality. In the not-too-distant past, racing was the number one spectator sport. Today we are in 13th place, tied with boxing. Bowling is twice as popular as horse racing. Our handle has declined nearly 25% since 2007, and foal crops are down nearly 30% since 2001. A recent survey revealed that 38% of the public would like to see racing banned. The McKinsey Group survey found that drugs and animal welfare were the most significant factors in the loss of racing fans and the inability to attract new patrons. Trainers and veterinarians encouraged racing commissions to allow the use of race day Lasix, using the argument that eliminating EIPH, which is exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage, would allow horses to race more often and encourage larger fields. Time has proven this argument to be invalid. Average starts per year have declined from 10.2 to 6.3, and average field size has also declined. In 20 years, we have increased the use of Lasix in racing from 46.8% to 95%, and in 2-year-olds, that figure has gone from 12.3% to 89%. Originally, to be permitted to use race day Lasix, a horse had to be a certified bleeder, but that has changed in most jurisdictions to permit its use at the trainer's request. Why would a trainer request Lasix if the horse was not a bleeder? Simply to be on an even playing field. Lasix is performance enhancing. Horses run faster, earn more money, and are more likely to finish in the top 3 with Lasix. Research has shown that in a 6-furlong race, the difference between those receiving Lasix and those that did not was equivalent to 3 to 5.5 lengths. Lasix does not stop nor cure EIPH. In a recent South African studies, it was shown to diminish the severity by approximately 1/2 of 1 point on a 1 to 5 scale. Another recent South African study has shown that EIPH is an inherited trait. Why would we continue to encourage breeders to perpetuate a line that is medication dependent? The U.S. and Canada are the only countries that permit the use of race day Lasix. Is the rest of the world wrong and we are right? I don't think so, and neither do many of our thoroughbred breeders. Foreign buyers who have in the past spent millions at our sales are starting to express their concerns as to the soundness and fragility of our horses whose sires and dams' racing careers were created with the use of permitted medications. Can we race without drugs? Absolutely. We were very successful prior to their use, and there is no reason that we cannot return. We have developed a culture of trainers and veterinarians that are under the false impression that horses must be medicated to perform to their potential. On today's backside, too many trainers look for medication for every problem that they experience. Our horses will perform quite well in the absence of permitted medication. 8 of the last 15 winners of the Dubai World Cup were American horses running without medications that they had previously run with in the U.S. What would be the effect if Lasix were not permitted? If there were a gradual integration, I seriously doubt that there would be a noticeable downside. Trainers would adjust their practices and learn to become less dependent on medication. Some have argued that we would see an increase in the number of horses that exhibit post-race epistaxis. I seriously doubt that to be true. I recently compared the number of horses showing post-race epistaxis in Louisiana with those in England, and there was not a significant difference. EIPH is not a predisposing factor to other health-related issues. Hong Kong has some of the most successful racing in the world and also has some of the most stringent medication policies. Lasix is not permitted in training or racing, yet their horses race very successfully and much more frequently than ours in the U.S. Their experience is that 1/2 of 1% show post-race epistaxis, and those horses are given a 3-month suspension before being allowed to return to the races. 38% of those will experience a later episode of epistaxis and are then retired from racing. Of those horses that are retired each year from racing in Hong Kong, only 5% are attributed to bleeding. Horses benefit from carefully regulated medical therapy based on a valid diagnosis and performed in a manner that provides an opportunity to evaluate the results of the treatment with ethical medications prior to competition. Regulatory veterinarians have supported the premise that no horse should race under the pharmacological effects of any medication. The Jockey Club has made a similar proposal in their reformed medication rules. Breeders' Cup officials have stated that the 2013 races will be run with international standards. Racing is an international sport that needs uniform rules and regulations. It is time to reverse our course in the U.S. and join the rest of the world in drug-free racing. I'd like to thank the Commission for the opportunity to address them on this issue and hope that they have a successful forum. Thank you.